So they're just at simplemodern.com. Let's take a look at this brand that was new to me, but I
Yeah.
saw that they hit a big milestone recently. I think they said 9 figures in revenue. Not sure if that was just this year and the trailing 12 months or whatever, or if they're on track for 9 figures. But yeah, momentous achievement there. And I don't know anything about Simple Modern, but I did before our session here today take a look at their tab here for our story, and they've got a great video there, so you have to watch it. But a lot of common threads between their organization and ours in terms of
Mhm.
profit sharing. They have a certain percentage of profits attributed to giving back to charitable um, organizations and missions and things like that, and even to the degree where they give a certain percentage to individual employees for them to contribute to the causes that matter to them, which I think is
Oh,
super
that's a great
admirable,
idea.
because a lot of people are like, we donate to this organization as a company and that's what we believe in, but that might not necessarily 100% align with what's most important to the workforce. So
Mhm.
just commend them on going the extra mile. And there was a lot of messaging in there about having a job is more about earning an income. It's about making an impact. It's also about protecting time for family. So just a lot of really good, warm, fuzzy feelings around Simple Modern from what little I've seen so far. But I'm interested to dive into this kind of website review today and see more about the products they sell, and maybe provide some recommendations for where they might be able to go even farther. I know 9 figures is, like I said, such a significant milestone to hit, but I'm sure that there's still, there's 7 billion people in the world. There's probably still some opportunity out there for them, and we'll hope to find some of
Yeah.
that today.
Awesome. Well, I had not heard of them before you sent this to me, surprisingly. So there's definitely still some room out there for people to be able to learn about the brand and buy their products. So that's great. I'm also in Oregon, which is the land of Hydro Flask, since they're based here in Oregon.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, this is great. It looks like they had, based on a quick scroll of the site. I'm sure we'll talk about this, but it looks like they had some great licensing opportunities that they had done and things of that sort that were unique. So I think that looks like a good opportunity.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's just dive right in. I mean, first impressions, not knowing anything about the brand, I would just guess that they sell drinkware, right? That's all I see here on the homepage hero section. And, that doesn't mean that is all that they sell, but that's what I would see as a new to file customer. And I'm sure that
Mhm.
hovering over shop will tell us a little bit more about what else is available, if anything else. But in general, like, I'm kind of getting a vibe here, which is like, great, professional, but like also kind of unremarkable, right? Like it's not big bright colors, it's not opinionated, statements. It's pretty straightforward, like summertime adventure away. It's kind of like broad, topical
Mhm.
messages coming to me. So it's like, yeah, this stands out as something that is functional, but not necessarily super compelling or making me want to scroll deeper, making me want to click on something and go a little bit farther into the page. That's my first impression. What are you seeing here, John?
I guess I'm a little confused about where to start. And I think that's my biggest challenge here is that the first thing I see is the big red free shipping block up in the top left corner, even before I know where I'm at with the logo and the name of the site, right? So I think that needs to get moved into the middle of the screen only because most consumers, what's going to happen is they're going to see free shipping and it's so big and red that's just drawing all the attention there. And then instead of following that typical F pattern where they're going to go, down the page and then back and over, what's going to happen is they're likely just to cut straight in a diagonal from free shipping to the navigation, which means that they're going to miss that main messaging around summertime adventure awaits. But there's between that and it looks like the accessibility badge next to adventure there on the left of that, down to chat, which had popped up. I saw at
Mm-hmm.
one point while we were chatting, you and I were talking, sign up or log in, a shopping bag search, and then the navigation just doesn't really pop off the page. I see they tried to make the left two bold, but I agree with you. They sell backpacks. I mean, they sell way more than just drinkware like this. So I think having just shop buried is a challenge. I'm never a fan of that. I always want to see your main categories be in your navigation, and custom could be one of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then our story, wholesale, and care, none of those belong in the main navigation based on our testing over the years. Consumers aren't here to learn your story right off the bat. They want to do that as part of the conversion and purchase journey. So baking that content into your product detail pages, et cetera. As you said, they had this great video about all these things, making sure people actually see that information in the place where they're going to be looking, which is along that journey of conversion, right? And then and care, those are things that should go in the footer. Consumers who are looking for wholesale, maybe retailers, et cetera, they know the site's not for them. That they are to scroll all the way to the bottom, look in the footer, and they'll find what that information is for them. And then care is the same thing. If consumers want to understand how to take care for their product, can you go with the dishwasher, et cetera, they're going to scroll down to the bottom and look, or they're going to go to the product detail page and look for the product they have, right? So I think you could easily adjust this nav. I'm a fan of having search there. So I wouldn't remove that. I think folks who know what they want and they run search, we've done tons of testing, have tons of data on this, that they convert at least twice more often. So at 2 times the rate if they search for the product they're looking for. So encouraging people to search is a great tool. And I do think that should stay there.
Yeah, a lot of great points there. I'll just point out another thing that was a first impression to me is kind of the line that bisects this hero image. And I was expecting this to be a carousel, maybe to show a few products, but like I'm not seeing any way to interact with that to actually move this. As I hover my
Mhm.
cursor over both images, they seem to go to the same destination URL. So just as an interaction point, like that was a little jarring for me because these two photos aren't particularly related either. I mean, they both have a different type of drinkware, but like you've got a car setting on the right, but you got the outdoor
Mhm.
setting on the left, and it's like maybe just one of these, like this big beautiful outdoor setting, that tells me more about summer than driving in the car, so maybe just extend that the full width and really focus on that. I will tell you one thing that my eye is not drawn to here is the headline, and that's probably
Mhm.
not what they would want from an interest perspective. Like this doesn't say anything particularly important. It's more of a seasonal kind of effort. But if it was a mission statement or if it was something a little bit more definitive, you would definitely want the user to see that. And the contrast just isn't quite there for me, at least on my screen, with this shirt and some of the light sky that's coming through in the background, the light leaves. Like it's just kind of the font's so small compared to everything else on the page. Like this is probably the last thing I read. And I'm not sure if that was their original intent. So that's just some more food for thought there. I'll hover over the menu items real quick. We'll just start with shop since that's first on the left. What do you think about this drop down mega menu that's showing up here?
Well, I think that, when we go and we get to the footer, you'll see they have just a few categories in the footer for shopping. And I really appreciated that because I think things like officially licensed, et cetera, that's actually nice that they have them separated out here. But you could do that under drinkware and then say officially licensed or, Disney, Nickelodeon, et cetera.
Mhm.
Um, most of those are going to be, Disney, Nickelodeon. They're going to be on the kids ones, right? And then collegiate NFL, NBA. Those are going to be under the adult ones. So it's a couple of things that I just found odd as well. Was the travel and on the go category. Um, you know, its backpacks seem random compared to all the other product lines that they have here. So I think separating that stuff out in the main navigation is going to be helpful. I would just say, travel or on the go for the main navigation item. I don't think you necessarily need accessories because those are actually drinkware. If you look at classic tumbler and a water bottle, drinkware, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then, collaborations, maybe, but I don't know. I think you could probably keep it to drinkware, kids, and on the go in that main navigation. And since you're getting rid of the other items, keep custom. And I think that takes care of personalization and et cetera. And then you could still do mega navs like this under each of those categories, right? And break it down with, officially licensed under each, color under each, et cetera.
Mhm.
And I think that would perform extremely well.
It does feel like a lot of layers of navigation options are being kind of crammed into the same experience here, where it's like
Mhm.
personalization and then bundles, like maybe even bundles comes up to the primary nav. If we get rid of these three links, like we suggested earlier, we've got a little bit more room to say, like, shop drinkware, bundles, accessories or something like that, and then custom products. Maybe that's your 5 item menu navigation. There's something in there, a handful or less. The shop by color to me seems like something that's more reserved for like a category page, something like that. So
Mhm.
within drinkware, then let me filter by color if I'm looking for something specific. It just kind of feels a little overwhelming at first glance to figure out what the next step they want me to take here is, just because there's so many options on the page. And I think that is a challenge for a lot of brands that have a large number of SKUs, a big product inventory, is just how do we do this in a way that's organized but also comprehensive and shows the entire breadth of like what we offer. I'm not saying they're doing anything bad here, but I am saying like I'm getting a little lost in terms of like bundles does kind of seem unrelated to all this. Like almost it needs to be pulled out. Shop by color could probably go on a category page. Even what's new could be called out somewhere else. It just kind of feels like, and personalization is covered by custom maybe. So it's like, maybe we get rid of this leftmost nav and really just focus on the big categories. And if we start to put these accessories under drinkware, because that's what they are, in fact, this starts to get a little bit simpler. And can you get it to 3 to 5 columns, right? Something a
Mhm.
little bit more manageable that helps me get to that next step faster. Because that's all we're trying to do here. We're not trying to close the sale yet. We're just trying to get them into their area of interest and then the product that's most relevant and then further down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, great points. And I think it sounds like we're pretty aligned on this. This is a lot of stuff I would test and
Hmm.
see what performs best, and I would do it slow, right? I would probably test different sections and then change the navigation over time. Because changing especially for repeat customers, wholesale changing your navigation overnight is never a good strategy. I think it's you're inviting challenges for consumers who know where they're going. So,
Right.
um,
Let's
okay.
see.
Well,
The
what's
only
further
other
down the page?
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other navigation item is this, and that's fairly simplistic. So maybe we just move on down below the hero section. This is more of that mission statement I was talking about earlier. They do well, or yeah, do well so that you can do good is how I like to phrase it. So you earn a profit so that you can give that back to the folks and
That's
communities who
great.
need it most. Great
Yeah.
touch
Are they a
point
B
there.
corporation? Do you know?
I'll check the footer. I don't know for sure, and I don't want to say they are and have them not be. So
Mm,
I don't know for sure,
look
but we
like
can
it.
look into it. Yeah. Normally somebody would, recognize that here like we do. We've seen that before as we do some of these website reviews, but I'm not aware of them being a B Corp if they are.
Yeah. It just they have a lot of B Corp mentality,
Hmm.
which I love. So this section here, I like that they are calling out some items and giving a visual approach to this, but I do think the main nav takes care of the majority of this. I'd rather see items called out that are special.
Hmm.
What I mean by that is this is where you could promote the new things, the bundles, you know, um, like they're doing with the Kansas City bottle, right? Like this is if you want to do team stuff, this is a place you can call that out and let people know you have those options. So it's a bit of a challenge, I think, to just list all the products again. Typically, when we see brands doing this, it means that they were noticing consumers were not engaging with their nav, right? And there's a challenge with the navigation that they have to repeat the items here.
Yeah. I'm learning now that maybe accessories does need to exist in that primary nav because it's the lids for the tumblers, like the different
Mhm.
types of lids and everything. So maybe, but maybe it's really like you said, you come up here and it's drinkware, tumblers, and then they've got accessories here anyway. So
Yep.
sorry, didn't mean to go on a tangent there, but I saw this and I
No,
was like,
that's
maybe it
great.
does make sense. But yeah, I
Mhm.
think I think this is probably the place where you would highlight. I know in their navigation they had, they're emphasizing Disney and specifically like water bottles and stuff for the pool because it's summer, it's about to be summer. And so maybe this is the area where you go a little bit deeper into that because like one thing I haven't seen yet for a company that has such a strong story and mission statement for itself, I haven't seen anything yet that tells me like who they serve. And I realize like everybody uses drinkware, right? But is this busy mom on the go going through the carpool lane and trying to get to work on time, wants to keep her drink cold or whatever? Like who is this? Are these young
Mhm.
millennials going to parties and just excited that some of the quarantine restrictions are being lifted? Like whatever. I don't know who your target audience is, but there's a reason I don't because it hasn't been communicated yet, right? And we're approaching a third of the way down the page, so it would be nice to see like
Mhm.
if you're not going to have lifestyle photos here showing me families, showing me young kids, showing me busy executives, whatever, maybe there's a headline opportunity there to just say like, we have drinkware that's customized for busy schedules, right? And it'll keep your drink hot or cold because you're always on the go. And that's enough
Mhm.
to like let me picture, am I the right person for this particular product, right?
Yeah, we always, the one thing the team here always wants to see in those main areas is what sets the brand apart. What is their value proposition, right? As opposed to just featuring one product, because that product can change out. And what happens generally is marketing teams get a hold of that main marketing message area, and then they want to feature whatever's new and hot, and instead of focusing on the tried and true brand of what sets Simple Modern apart from all the other competitors in this space.
Right. Okay, let's see what's under. So these are effectively links to category pages, and
Mhm.
don't necessarily disagree with that from a theoretical standpoint, but maybe we could execute that just a little bit better. Then we're going to get into this call out section here for new arrivals. So it looks like, what do we got? Personalization to water bottles. That must be relatively new.
Yeah, it looks like you can get some stickers to go with it, which is an interesting take on personalization, but an easy way for a brand to do that and offer something there as opposed to having to manufacture personalized water bottles. So,
Yeah.
okay, I mean, I get it.
That's interesting to me because it does take you to a product page just for stickers. Man,
Mhm,
personalization, especially in this context, I think of like engraving or a custom
mhm.
pattern. Like you have a family photo and you just want to have that kind of in a collage arrangement or something like that on the water bottle. But yeah, I mean, if this is the campaign going around and this is the latest kind of new hit and people have actually asked for it, right, and demanded it, then it's great to let them know here. I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe this high up the page. I'll be interested to see what comes after this, but yeah, it's good to let them know that that's available.
Yeah, I think that's a great move by our product manager who was like, "Hey, we can't do manufacturing of engraving letters on it or, anything of that sort. But we can do stickers and let people personalize with stickers, which,
Mhm.
I don't know about you. I'm kind of a simple, kind of a clean, modern look for most of my
Mhm.
stuff. So I don't put stickers on my water bottle. I'm the same thing with my MacBook Pro. Like I keep it clean. I don't put stickers all over it, but I know a lot of people who do, and that's how
Yeah.
they tell them apart. And that's fine. So I could see that playing pretty well for consumers.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we are approaching the halfway point. Let's see what else we've got. So this is the summer campaign that was called out in the hero section. So it's halfway down below category, below the sticker
Mhm.
promo. We're here talking about, and I'm just curious what. So it is Sweet Summer Loves. I'm going to open that up in a new tab. I'm just curious, like what is specifically summary about this, right? Like without going too far down the rabbit hole here, are they new patterns? Oh, there's the
Mhm.
discount pop up on the second page, which is interesting. I didn't see one on the home page. Um,
Yeah,
you
maybe
don't
it's on
normally see
product
that, right?
pages. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on category and product pages maybe, which I applaud them for not doing it on the homepage, but um there's still we can send a whole bunch of information to to these folks about discounts and pop-ups.
Right. Right. Okay. So these look like they're going to be just maybe summer patterns, like brighter colors, gradients.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm kind of losing anything distinctly summary about this, right? Aside from maybe some patterns, but there's nothing that says like, hey, these are only available now. We don't normally have kind of this pastel watercolor looking cocktail shaker. This is only available
Right.
right now. So interesting that that's there. We'll go back. So that's what that's calling out here, right? Anything special to say about that? It's fairly similar to what we just saw above with the new arrivals.
Right. I think that it's all in how they're marketing and positioning this. And with the summer idea of hanging out in your backyard, going to visit a neighbor, now that people are getting vaccinated, et cetera, you'll see a lot more of this summer. I think people are itching to go visit neighbors. And it's interesting. I mean, we've had a neighbor come over and she brings and it might actually be a simple modern, but she like brings over a glass of wine, and my wife and her sit in the backyard and drink wine and chat, and
Hmm.
let the kids play, right? And she brings over a reusable glass because it's like, hey, at least now things are regardless, she wanted to bring her own glass over to be safer, right? And so she has a reusable thing that actually looks like it might be, now that I'm thinking about it, simple modern. So I do
Yeah.
like the marketing here, the message here, and I can appreciate that, but I agree with you. What is it that they're best sellers and they only are available during the summer, or is it just truly the positioning and photography, which is what it might be.
Right, right. Let's go on further down. Looks like they're going to call out the Disney
Mm,
Adventures here. So the Disney collaboration and Nickelodeon. Interesting that they're
that's great.
bringing in the kids aspect here. Interesting timing,
Mhm.
right? Because it's like stickers, okay, summer love. So they're kind of checking all the bases. They're like seasonal, but also, this isn't necessarily the wine tumbler that maybe you
Mm,
were describing
right.
or whatever, but it is more of an adult setting, right? And then you're going to also check the box with kids. So I like that they're kind of
Mhm.
covering all of their bases in terms of the use cases here. I know my daughter has this dress at home, that exact kind of dress, so I recognize that. And she could probably benefit from, if assuming this is some kind of a no spill with the way that this little girl's holding it.
Mhm.
Like we could probably use one of those around the house. So yeah, just more of the same here. I think it's good to call these out. Interesting that it's not there's no logo here, right? Like no Disney logo, no Nickelodeon logo,
Mhm.
which I would recognize, right? Not everybody's going to read this text, or
Right.
they're scrolling quickly and they just kind of miss it right on their way by. But if I saw the big orange Nickelodeon logo, I'm guessing it's still orange, or Disney and kind of their arrangement, I would definitely recognize that. So maybe it's worth adding, but I don't know about the terms of that licensing agreement either.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if it's truly a licensing agreement, those are not cheap. And so it's great that they're promoting it here. You gotta get your return on that investment. The way it says perfect for Nickelodeon fans, perfect for Disney Adventures makes me wonder if they truly do have a license and if they truly are putting Disney characters on these. I don't know.
Mm.
I wonder.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it does kind of seem like you could almost do like a 2x2 or a 3x3 here and get some of those other brand partnerships too. We see the NFL,
Mm,
NBA, like there were some sports
yeah.
associations in there too.
Or
Like,
even have
can you,
those up with like an adult panel, right? And
right,
then this is the kids panel
right.
for parents. I
That'd
think
be,
that could
you
work.
might get more bang for your buck there to kind of have a lockup with several logos and a small product photo, and then let folks
Mhm.
go to the brand partnership that most aligns with them. That could be interesting. Okay, and then it looks like these are recommended, which I think the average consumer really appreciates this, because it's kind of like a quick way to see their entire product lineup, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does kind of give this false like, we picked these for you that you don't have any information about me, right? Like, are these really for me,
Right.
or are these just your hot sellers? Interestingly enough, I am a Cowboys fan, so it's interesting that that popped up. But maybe they're tracking me around the web. They've got me on Facebook or whatever. But I doubt that, right? So I think, not that
Right.
anybody's going to catch that. I'm probably more savvy than the average consumer, but it is a little bit of a mixed message. It's not really for them. It's kind of like maybe bestsellers, most popular items, something like that. And if you're going to go that route and change this or test this, then maybe have a 5-star kind of rating available here too, or something like that, right? Like something to show
Mhm.
some indication of how popular the item is.
That I agree with that, and they're missing clear call to actions on each of these.
Hmm.
So, and also I won't tell the Cleveland Browns that you're a Dallas fan.
Yeah, that's fair. I appreciate that. I think normally here we do recommend not having add to cart though, right? Like just a CTA button that says
Right.
Shop Summit Water Bottle or whatever, Shop Summit Kids,
Mhm.
because that's where these text links are going, and it looks like that's where the image will go. But having a
Right.
button, I mean, you've set kind of the context here that we want to have this kind of rectangular black, squared off button, have something like that underneath all of these. That's kind of how we've been conditioned so far on this
Yep.
homepage experience to interact with the call to action. So maybe just having one of those under each of these images would encourage
Yeah.
more
A
people to
little
go one step further.
agreed, and low intent to purchase, right? So no buy now, as you were saying, right? So
Hmm.
it's a few details, learn more.
Yeah.
So let's check out the footer
Okay.
and see where we're at the bottom here.
Oh yeah, we've got quite a
Um,
bit. Let's go here.
Yeah, I think all of that content's great. I think the branding and about the company is good up there. But I really wanted to check out the footer because I think there's a couple missed opportunities here. The first is they have up in the main nav how to service all of these different types of consumers, right? With the wholesale, et cetera. And they have that under other, which is a really weird category. It's kind of, we say this quite often here that like FAQ pages and other pages are where good content goes to die. So I
Hmm.
think it makes it really hard. It's so generic that it's something that should just be, included here. I would do custom engraving under shop, and then wholesale. I would just say, wholesale or retail, and let people really quickly see that. Also, they're missing what you coined as the trust trifecta. that I talk about quite often, right? So missing their address, phone number, and email, which are good ways for people to know your legitimate brand and a good way to get in touch with you. I see as you just rolled over there that the logo is there or the little icon for mail, but just put the email address out, right? On the right hand side, have the clear contact information, include support there as well. People will know your legitimate brand. The shop I talked about earlier, how they got it down to just 4 items here. And I was wondering if those 4 items, plus maybe on the go or travel, should be the items that would be in the main nav as well. I think that could work pretty well.
Hmm.
And then that about is what people really want to know in terms of story, etc. That's where you could, put those items. So all in all, I think this navigation in terms of the footer could use some work, just from a category standpoint of the headers of each column, as well as adding in all that trust information. And I think if people have scrolled all the way down here, they know exactly what they're looking for. So you got to make it easy for them to find that. And you also don't want to have to make them. You notice here the nav disappeared at the top of the page.
Right.
I would not make it something where they had to scroll all the way back up to find all of those different categories again. Just include that stuff in the shop on the left.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree with all that. The one thing I'll call out that we didn't see here that we almost always do is a newsletter sign up. I don't think I've seen one
Mm,
the entire duration of this homepage, just scrolling through really quickly. So, just an interesting choice. I mean, I think a lot of folks try to capture an email as kind of a last ditch effort, assuming somebody's not going to go category page or make a purchase or anything like that. Get them on the mailing list, nurture that relationship a
mhm.
little bit, eventually get them to become a customer down the road after you've proved your worth, so to speak. So, just interesting to
Right.
not see that. The footer is where everybody would go to kind of find that information, and there's a big blank space right
Mhm.
here that might fit it nicely. So if that's something you're interested in doing, it might be worth testing, putting that here, and see if your signups go up.
Right.
So awesome, John.
That's
Well,
great.
that was a great recap or great overview of Simple Modern, and I think we found a bunch of opportunity there. But they are doing a lot of things right, obviously, or they wouldn't be where they're at today in terms of hitting that 9-figure revenue run rate. So congratulations to the Simple Modern team, and hopefully something that we presented here in today is worth testing and checking out. And yeah, if you see some results, we'd love to hear about them.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, James. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, John.